All right, well, joined today on the Batcave Podcast with a special duo out of Nashville, Tennessee, Writer's Block, ladies and gentlemen.
What up, y'all?
What up?
Thank you guys so much for coming out today. Can we get started just a little bit about how you guys met and started making music together?
Yeah, definitely. So, well, Zoe and I met, our life is so synchronistic in so many ways, and then it's funny because we actually met on a dating app.
Yeah.
And so we weren't even making music together at first. We were just getting to know each other, and we had conversations. Obviously, that music was our focus. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much how we started. I remember right when we first were starting to really get serious, we had a conversation about how much music meant to us as a career, as a passion, as a purpose, and it was pretty much like, hey, this is going to take a lot of energy. This is going to take a lot of our focus on our individual careers. Like, are you down for that? If you're not down for that, this may or may not work. And it was a great conversation for both of us to have, and then magically we started making music together. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Is that, like, when you guys met, were you guys making similar styles of music, or was it?
No. I was doing more like singer-songwriter, that kind of stuff, and then he was doing rap,
Yeah.
hip hop.
Yeah. So I mean, the hip hop was there, which is still
Yeah.
a core of our sound, and
Yeah.
even like the jazzy singer songwriter stuff is still part of our sound, but
Yeah.
they weren't fused
No.
together at that point.
Yeah. And separately, they both sound very different, but
Yeah.
it works in the way that we ended up putting it together.
Yep.
Was there a moment while you guys were working together or separately when you finally decided, like, we're gonna, like, make music as a joint team, or what kind of went with that?
We had kind of flirted with the idea on some of my songs where it was easy to pull her in and be like, maybe you should sing a hook on this or something, but we never went through with it. And then we met. I met a guy named Mr. Watson, and went to his chocolate shop, which was an art exhibit in Atlanta, and we just shared music. We talked about life all night one night, and the next night I was like, I'm gonna bring my girlfriend Zoe by. She's an artist as well, and we had no plans of really making music, but when you get a group of artists together and there's recording equipment, things start to happen, and so we made a song that night, and then we came back the next night, made a song that night, and came back a couple days later, made a song that night. We were like, okay, I think we got something here.
Yeah. That was basically it.
Yeah.
That's super cool. When you guys were performing at the chocolate shop, was it like while, like, people were walking through, like, a gallery, or how was that experience?
So the chocolate shop itself was like 600 square feet. Like
It was a small space.
It was a very small space. And what we would do was on Saturdays we would host parties / like art exhibits. Like people could come in and they could see the art, and we would have drinks and people could buy chocolate.
Yeah.
And then later in the night,
and DJs were playing too.
Oh,
Shout
yep.
out DJ
yep,
88 West and Denny Babe.
Yep. And we'd have usually Wes on the inside and he'd be DJing, and then Danny Babe would be outside and he would be DJing, and then later in the night we would do a performance and Danny Babe would DJ for us.
Yeah, it was dope though. It was like just a bunch of people piled on a sidewalk completely illegally in one of the most upscale parts of Atlanta in Buckhead Village, and the chocolate shop. I mean, they sold world class chocolates. Watson makes world class art. He's so it was like, I don't know, it was like a magical time. Yeah, it really felt like a movie in so many ways, and that's really where Writer's Block like got our reps in.
Yeah.
Initially. I mean, we're still every day getting our reps in,
course,
but that's where it really started.
And from Atlanta to Nashville, that's not like a far distance, but a pretty different landscape as far as music goes.
Yeah.
What has that been like, I guess, navigating here versus there, or vice versa?
I think Atlanta initially felt a little more natural to me because I was coming from a hip hop background. A lot of my connections there were hip hop, so felt natural. I understood that world a bit more. But in a way, I feel like coming to Nashville, it opened your eyes. It's like, oh, it's not just country. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Definitely. Plus, I feel like Nashville, it's interesting because the landscape of Nashville, at least coming here initially, almost feels a little bit more natural just because of the circumstances that led us here. We already had this base of musicians and producers and people we were already working with. So, and we had already been coming up here. So it was kind of just like a continuation, like pressing play. Like every time we leave, we press pause. And when we moved here, we just pressed play again. Whereas Atlanta, while we do have so many good friends and so many awesome connections there, it was more, it definitely feels more like a big city, and you're more like finding your people, and there's different pockets and you meet all different kinds of people in a way that I feel like I haven't seen in Nashville yet.
No, yeah, I'd agree with that. Just from, I mean, I haven't ever lived in Atlanta, but I've had friends that have pursued music out there, and it's just a very different experience, as it is everywhere. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And like, I don't know, it's interesting here. Like, you hear people talk about rights a lot, and it's like people get together and write songs. And I had never really heard the phrase or like, yo, let's do a write or whatever. I'd never heard that before.
Mm-mm.
Hearing people talk in Nashville and stuff, and then I don't know, very different cultures, you know, but at the same time, there's really dope art in both places.
Yeah.
yeah. What went in for people that don't know? Kind of explain the background behind you guys choosing the name Writer's Block.
Yeah, man. It was like super synchronistic. So initially, I was writer's block as a solo artist, and at the time, I had recently experienced one of my best friend's deaths, who was the person that got me to record music. Who was the person that was, you know, always feeding me beats and believing in me and telling me, you know, he could see a few. He was way more talented than I was in every way. Production, guitarist. He was like a pianist. He was like he was like a savant in some ways around music. Had perfect pitch, but for some reason he kept hyping me up, even though I was like low key trash at the time. And anyway, after his death, I was just going through a real soul searching time, and um, through a string of like synchronistic moments where I was like, oh, you know, I had this idea where I wanted to put banjo on a hip hop song because I had never heard it, and a few other things happened, and then at the time I found this song by Lupe Fiasco called Dots and Lines. Um, and it opens up with banjo. And I was like, oh, that's dope. Like, here's a hip hop song that's about to go into banjo. And then it's about sacred geometry, which is like how the universe is designed and how things happen with a meaning or by design. And anyway, I was just stuck on the song. Like, I had it on repeat for like a week. And one night, I was smoking with a friend and I was like, yo, guess which artist this is? And I played it and I had it real loud. And he said white or black. But the music was real loud, so when I looked at it, I just read his lips, and I thought he said it looked like he said writer's block, and I was like, "Damn, that's a hard ass name, writer's block." So I looked up. No, there's nobody's name writer's block at the time, and I hit my other good friend who I was making music with, and I was like, "Bro, I think I'm gonna go with writer's block." I was searching for a name at the time, and he texted me back and was like, "Bro, no shit, I just thought of that name for you last night, but I didn't want to influence your decision." So that was like another synchronicity, and then we decided to go with it as a band, and because we kept going through names and it didn't nothing made sense, and then writer's block was just like, yeah, that's hard. Like, it opens the mind up to creativity, it brings you back to like nostalgia in a way because we were using like the blocks. It changes. It's a paradigm shift because, you know, the word typically is a negative thing, but we're using it as like a compass of creativity and following your passion and, you know, staying unlimited in as far as your imagination. And then what was crazy is like right after we decided to go with it for the band, I'm talking to Houdini's dad, who was my first friend, the friend I mentioned who passed away. And he was like, oh, what's your band's name? And I say writer's block. And he goes, oh, that was so and so's band's name. And it was Houdini's guitar teacher's band's name, like years and years ago. That I never knew that. I had no idea. And so it was like just this other full circle moment that like literally gives me chills right now. You know, it was crazy.
That's insane. Like, although I didn't even know I was supposed to pick this, but I guess it was chosen before I knew it.
Yeah, facts. That's really how it felt. And like even during the moment where like leading up to that week leading up to whenever I like the name chose me in a way or chose and eventually chose us, um there was all of these things that were lining up. It was just like, how did that happen? How did that happen? How did that happen? And then yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. You mentioned kind of talking about that, just being unlimited in your production and everything. And, you know, I think if someone listens to your discography, at least from what I've heard, there's not like one sound that describes you guys. It kind of goes all over the place. You guys are experimenting with a lot of different stuff in your music. Do you guys always have that, like, I guess, brave, for like lack of a less complex term, for like to just make what you guys want to make, or what came to that?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like everybody who we make music with kind of makes different kinds of music, and everybody has their own backgrounds of things that they grew up on and things that inspired them. And everybody who we make music with is just really open. And we're all just open to each other's ideas. If somebody puts out an idea, even if I'm not necessarily vibing with it, I'm not going to shoot it down. I'm going to be like, okay, let's see where this can go. And it's that openness that usually leads to something really cool and different that we wouldn't have been able to make on our own.
Yeah. We just water all the seeds. I think that's a great analogy for it. We water all the seeds, and sometimes it's weeds, and something like sometimes and sometimes it's great. And I think it's interesting. I think like we've all grown up in a period where we've had extreme access to music. You know what I mean? Like when I was 11, 12, like was I guess 10 maybe, was like when MP3 players were starting to get real popular. So I was on LimeWire getting all kinds of music, and now we have streaming, so we're all influenced by all these different decades. And I don't think that's kind of unprecedented, and I think we're starting to see fusion amongst a lot of artists, amongst many artists, but I do think we're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I do think not to be braggadocious and shit, but we have a lot of fun making a lot of different styles. And like even the discography now, if you feel that way in a few months, you're gonna be like, oh wow, y'all have a lot of different shit.
Yeah.
No, even the song you guys just put out, which is kind of like country hip hop, but like in a different way than you usually get country hip hop, where it is like, I feel like the mainstream version of that is like the hip hop, and then like the drums and stuff like bleeds into the country aspect, whereas this felt more like actual country with hip hop at the same time.
Yeah, and shout out Karen Dixon and Gabe Neal and Callie Dixon and their whole team over there. They're really dope.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had a lot of the production pretty much done for it, and they wanted to open up for like a rap verse and for those like kind of like haunting harmonies in the back and singing on the hook. And so a lot of the sound landscape was kind of prepared for us to go in and do our thing. And so we can't really take any credit on the sonics of that. No. They really did their thing on that, and we got to just kind of come in and fill our pocket.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. With having such a wide range of music, do you guys ever go to like make music with somebody and it feels like bland in a way, like, or just too simple in a way?
I don't know if we've experienced that yet. I feel like everybody who we've gone and made music with has really had their own thing, their own little special sauce that they add, or some way that they inspire us and make us want to be better.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
Yeah. Also, I do want to say, like, we had a year and a half almost of just like kind of like an agonizing feeling and just not really making any music. We were writing, but we did have a period of trying to find production that made sense for us and just not quite finding it. Meeting dope creators, but it was just when something's in sync and when it's not. And so we went through a huge phase of that. And then when we came up here and linked with Alex Carter and Jeremy Stenson, and Xander and Richard, like, not to leave anyone out, but initially it was Alex and Jeremy, and it was just like, oh, this is right.
Yeah.
Like, this is hitting. And we got stuck here from a snowstorm, so it ended up leading to another session, and it was just like, it was like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
where we need to be.
And it was like at the beginning, whenever we first started making music together, it was like that all over again. We got together, except, well, you had reached out to Jeremy. He had reached out to Jeremy to see if he wanted to just go eat somewhere, just catch up. And Jeremy was like, why don't we go to the studio? And we were like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But, we were expecting maybe we'd make something, because, Jeremy and Carter, they have their group and they make their music together, and Jeremy makes his own solo music as well. So we were like, oh, well, maybe we'll just be doing something for them. We weren't really sure what it was, but then it just clicked, just like it did whenever we first started making music together. It was like, oh, okay, this is the next chapter.
Yeah.
What really kept you guys going during that year and a half of, like, that to me really frustrating. As it is, I feel like if you have something you make and it doesn't feel right to put out, like, just once, that's already frustrating. Let alone
Yeah.
if you have like a year and a half of it. That's
Yeah, I think it was really strange. We went from hyper creativity in Atlanta, always creating, always meeting more creatives, always doing something, being at some event, connecting with someone, to being in Columbia, South Carolina, where arguably is just as talented, but there's just not as much infrastructure around it all.
As well as the fact that we lived in Columbia, but really we lived in a
In
small
the outskirts of
town
it.
that was like
But
30 minutes outside of Columbia. So we're even further removed from any amount of happenings
of
that are
seeing,
going
yeah, and so like it was a weird. It was almost like withdrawals in a way.
Yeah.
And I think what kept us going was we started our event called
Mhm.
Recess. And so we would just go out and perform acoustic sets by the river, which is a beautiful space in Columbia. And we get some really dope artists from around Columbia to come play too. And people started showing up. And we were able to just kind of foster community and give back and make sure people had fun shows to go to and connect with all these really dope artists. And that's kind of like fueled us.
Yeah.
It was like we weren't as much creating songs, but we were at least performing. We were getting our chops in there, and we were able to connect with a wide variety of people and artists.
That's so cool. I got goosebumps while you were saying that. 'Cause I feel like I'm someone who's moved a lot, and I feel like it's so easy when you move, and the things you want to be there aren't accessible, to be upset with your surroundings and be like, "This is frustrating. Like, I want this to be here, and it's not. I miss how this was back here." And instead, you guys like created what you wanted to be there, which is super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was also like we can't lie and
Yeah,
say
it
we
was
didn't want to be
frustrating.
making music. We did,
Yeah.
but a lot of times, what I've learned being like, 11 years pursuing this. Yeah, 11 years pursuing this is like you can't fight the seasons.
Yeah.
You got to trust the seasons and make as much of each season while you can, because like you might feel like you're going to be making music with this person forever or in this situation or at this studio forever, but like life happens.
Yeah.
And you got to make the most out of those situations and trust the seasons. And Columbia brought us a season of building deep relationships with people and being able to put on those shows, and we had to just trust that was what it was, and that didn't come easy. I mean, we busted our ass to make those shows happen. I mean, it was the most conditioning I've ever had outside of playing sports, just setting up those shows all the time
in the middle of summer
and
in Columbia, South
I don't know
Carolina.
how much you've lived in the South.
That much.
Yeah, so it gets hot here, but in Columbia, South Carolina, they call it the armpit of the state. The humidity is insane, bro. So
man.
yeah,
It was tough. But it was good. I mean, ultimately, I feel like it was the best thing for us because, after finishing our first season of Recess, we knew that it was something that we wanted to continue. And even now here in Nashville, it's absolutely something that we want to continue. And as we grow as Writer's Block, we want to grow Recess as well and turn it into a nonprofit where we can travel from city to city and put on independent artists, people that don't get as much traction in those cities as well. So
yeah. It is a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to fund that.
Yeah. No, that's super cool.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. We've learned a lot doing it, and it's just like, shows are so expensive, bro. You can't go
Yeah.
see a good, like, can't go to see your favorite artist for less than $100 after your ticket and parking and fees and shit, and people can't afford that. And so being able to put on shows with really dope talent in nature, like
Yeah.
good music in nature, and it's like family friendly in a way, like
Yeah, and it's free.
and it's free. Like,
Yeah.
can't beat it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with that, because I remember like 10, 12 years ago, I feel like tickets just got outrageous. Like, I remember when I think I was 17, I drove to New York to see Eminem, Rihanna, where the Giants play. And I was like right before like being in the pit. And it was $200, which was a lot of money at the time.
Yeah.
But now that concert would be
Like a rack.
Yeah, it'd be a
Oh,
rack at least.
insane.
Like, and that'd be to be like in the nosebleeds or something.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
insane.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. They're, Ticketmaster and all them, they've done some shiesty shit.
Yeah.
They've done some shiesty shit. I've passed up so many good shows I've wanted to see just
Right.
because I'm like, damn,
It's just not a good
I don't know if
financial
I
choice.
got it.
yeah, I'm not paying $250 to go see that.
No.
Well, when you think about it, it's like what you probably get an hour of the artist you're going to see.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Right.
maybe not.
Right?
Yeah, and now in today's climate, sometimes the artist,
Isn't-
there's so
isn't
many
really
variables.
performing.
Right.
Like that.
And it's like $7 for a water, like $15 for a beer. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, what are we doing?
It's like a whole paycheck just to go see a
Right.
show for 3 hours, and you're like, all right, now I
Okay.
won't eat for a month. now."
Right.
Right. Had to fast for the show.
Just
Yeah.
after the show, dedication. So ultimately met you guys through Tim Weber. What was that? How did that connection come to be? And
Yeah, initially, I met Tim through business, and he didn't even connect those dots until recently, actually. But that was how I officially became aware of Tim, and then we submitted for one of the tacklers, the live review, the artist community. Shout out the artist community, and we were on the way to help a friend move, so like. I was looking rough and stuff, and anyway, they pulled us up, and we were like, "Oh, what up?"
Okay.
And they played our song "Ain't Got Time," and V Wills was on there at the time, and like, they hyped us up. They went nuts over the song, and that was really cool. And that was kind of creatively how we started to connect with Tim, and then found out Tim was moving up to Nashville. He was in Charlotte at the time, and one of the times we came up for the studio sessions, they happened to be here too, so we stopped in, and we kept showing up to the
Yeah.
artist community, and they kept showing love and encouragement,
Yeah.
and it just felt like a place that we could grow, and we could trust people, and
Yeah.
we could just feel that feeling of home away from home in a
Definitely.
way, and just
It's just a very welcoming environment where we didn't really know anybody, but it just felt very homey. It was really easy to just be here. It was very clear that people wanted us around, and that
Yeah.
was really nice to feel.
yeah.
kind of with going like feeling away from home and just feeling maybe uncomfortable in situations, how do you guys handle that as a couple and also as artists together when you're a lot of times going through new experiences that are inherently uncomfortable as an artist to begin with?
Well, honestly, that's something that we always have to keep working on, because like different situations just bring out different sides of us, and different feelings come up, and sometimes I know for me, sometimes it's hard for me to know what I'm feeling in a moment until after it passes, and then I have time to reflect on it. So, yeah, I mean, you know, communicating, definitely communicating, a lot of talking. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious about something, just saying it, just putting it out there. Hey, I'm feeling this way, just so you know, this is how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. I was raised in the chaos, baby.
He loves
So,
it.
so yeah, some of that is natural, but I've definitely learned to be a better communicator.
Yeah.
Especially like Mizo and Richard. Richard Thomas is our guitarist, and our roommate, and there's three of us, and when we go on long road trips and we're figuring out, the studio sessions, and we're sleeping on the couch or whatever it is, it's like you gotta respect people's emotions. You got to respect. You just got to look out for one another. You know what I mean? It's like you just got to look out for each other and try not to hold on to shit.
Yeah.
You know,
everybody's gonna be short sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
and like most of the times that we've got on each other's nerves, musically at least, has been unintentional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like remembering that and yeah. So a lot of communication, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of just like, I'll tell you this: after we did recess, because I'll go balls to the wall for things, bro. Like you look at something, you be like, I don't think that's gonna be possible. If I'm set on it, I'm like, we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out. And so that's how recess was. We weren't supposed to be able to use that park. We were supposed to have a big permit. We were supposed to pay all this money. We were supposed to pay for police officers to be there. It's like 0.6 of them, or like it's like a half a mile from where you have to park to where you have to unload everything at. So we had to carry it all down. We didn't have wagons and stuff the first few ones. So like when we showed up and we were doing that, and I was like, I'm a firm believer in like lead by example. So like if I'm in a situation where it's my time to lead, I'm gonna go hard as fuck because I want people to go hard. And when they were going just as hard as I was at this shit, and I knew I was being kind of delusional about it, I was like, we can get through whatever. Yeah. We're in 105-degree heat with humidity, carrying all this stuff, performing, hosting, setting everything up, setting everything down, and loading the car at the end of the night. It's like, okay, if they're willing to go through that, I know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You think about it, we were all a little delusional. We're all just like, we want to do this, so we're going to make it happen.
Yeah. But
what else are we going to do? Well, what better do you have to do right now? Nothing.
Yeah. And that's how, I just feel like we all have each other's back. And I feel like if I wasn't in the room, I know that they're going to speak on my behalf in a good way. I know that they'll have my back, and I feel the same way about them. So
yeah, what's like your favorite memory? I guess looking back on that experience, was it like an artist that got to perform that maybe never could have, or an interaction you had with a fan?
Man, we would have kids come up and sing.
Yeah,
that was dope.
That's what I was gonna
I'm
say.
sorry. I keep.
Yeah.
You're gonna say it's complicated.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Is that my favorite part was definitely all of the kids that were there. We'd have a lot of like young families come out and just set up their picnic blanket. Have all the kids running around. Some of them are swimming in the river.
Yeah.
And it was just so adorable. And at the end, we would have a little like open mic section, and there would be kids that would come up and they'd like be like jamming on the guitar, or we would be like jamming on the guitar and stuff, and the kid would just get on the mic and they'd be so nervous, but eventually they'd like say a couple things and we'd all be like, yeah.
And seeing those kids' confidence go up. But
it's just
seeing all kinds of people come together, man. I think that live events and music is a reminder of our shared humanity. And we all have different experiences, we all have different backgrounds, but when you can share those moments together, you realize like, man, we all generally care about like some of the same stuff, and we can connect on that. That was one of my favorite parts about recess. And like people coming to us and telling us like, man, I was dealing with depression real bad, and like I've been coming to all the recesses, and it's just lifted my spirits. Or one of our friends who would show up, who we became friends with through recess, they lost someone one week, and they came to recess to like just kind of disconnect and be free, and that meant a lot to me. And then to get pretty vulnerable here, like my mom and my relationship built back from recess. We didn't have a relationship for, much of a relationship for over a decade. And so she started coming to all the recesses, and we were able to just connect. And that was a big thing of healing that I needed in my life. So I'm very thankful for that part of it.
As far as like, obviously there's the pieces of working on music, but how do you guys handle it when one of you is super invested in like, I want to make a song today, and the other person maybe is like, I need a break from music? Because that can be something that comes and goes as well.
I would say that neither of us are afraid to go off and kind of like do our own thing. Like if I'm not in the mood and Blaine's in the mood, Blaine's like, well, I'm gonna do something. So he'll go write some verses. He'll pull up some some beats that some of our friends have sent us and start writing, or vice versa. I'll go play the piano, I'll go write. We can just, like, if he needs a break, then it's okay. Like, he can take himself a break and I'll just do my own thing. Because especially, like, there are so many times that I've sat down and written something and been so proud of it and been like, oh, I can't wait for Blaine to get on this. So it's kind of like, you know, creating the little hole for him and vice versa.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if any of us have ever backed out of a studio session of like, no. Oh, maybe you one time, actually.
Did I?
Yeah.
I did one time.
Yeah.
He's like, it was very irritating when I was going in there. And I was like, where's Zoe?
Yeah, he did get home and was like, yeah, we made a really good song. Would have been better if you were there.
Yeah, but like Zoe said, you know, we still have our moments where like music is for us too, like individually as well. Yeah, but you know, we get to create quite a bit now that we're up here, so, and we stay pretty active with it. I haven't had a moment where I'm like, oh, I don't want to make music right now. Yeah.
That's super awesome. Yeah. I think when you're surrounded by people that are like either on a similar journey or the same journey, it just keeps you thinking, like hitting refresh on the brain. And like, oh, this, that, the other thing.
Yeah, dude. And we're so fucking lucky because I feel so lucky because I have Zoe around me who is always having brilliant ideas. Richard, who's always having brilliant ideas. Alex, Jeremy, Xander. Like, it's like, if you don't have anything to come to bat with at that moment, somebody in the room is going to have something dope to say, and then it's going to spark something in you. So, like, having that whole collaborative process has been, it's been magical. I mean, it's pushed me to be a better artist. It's pushed me to know when to bite my tongue. It's pushed me to, like, just learn so much.
Agreed.
Oh, I love that. Who are the artists, just curious because of you guys' sound that's like everywhere, who are like the artists that inspire you guys the most, that you guys look up to?
Ooh, that's tough. You can go first.
So Bob Marley, #1, Led Zeppelin, DMX, Big Crit, Rage Against the Machine, Nas, Damian Marley, so many. I mean, Outkast. I love Outkast. So many, man. But like those would be a good core. Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're dope too.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. It's hard for me to answer this question. I don't think I've ever really had like a ton of musical inspirations. I've been inspired by so many different artists, but very few artists have like, I would consider the reason why, like, changed the way that I approach music or the way I make music. Sleeping at Last is one of them. When I heard Earth by Sleeping at Last, listening to that, I felt like it like changed my brain chemistry, and I just thought, I want to write songs that make people feel like this. Like, if I can even write one song that makes somebody feel like this, then like I've accomplished all I need to on this earth. That, and yeah, that's it right now.
Just one?
Yeah, I would say like that was like a pretty mind altering moment for me. I was like 15, 16 years old. And then there have been a bunch of artists that just like inspire me in general, but that's like the one artist who I would say like really gave me that like, oh, this is what I want to do kind of feeling.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. I noticed you mentioned Bob Marley. Did you happen to see the Bob Marley movie that came out a few years ago?
Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah, it was good. I think his grandson Skip Marley was playing Bob, and
that was his grandson?
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, they got a big family. But yeah, Bob, I feel like Bob, just like when you think of like influence and you think about legacy and like what he stood for and how he really helped pioneer roots reggae music into like into the world, and being able to just unite and like be such a gangster for peace, like getting shot at a show and then like going back at it, like
That's insane.
yeah, it is insane. And like, you know, he was just like a prophet on the mic, and you could just tell he was tapped into a frequency, and that's somebody, if there was an opportunity, I'd pay $500 or more to see.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was someone growing up, like my best friend growing up, that was his favorite artist. And I never really understood it because I was like, yeah, these songs kind of sound the same. And then I saw that movie and I was like, wait, I need to like dive into some Bob Marley, right? Because the movie like tells such a good story.
Yeah.
That like when he was up and coming and doing his thing, I don't think we knew, like if you really dived into somebody, you knew somebody's story, but not the way now where like information is just thrown at you. So we know so much about these artists and their background and everything.
Yeah. I just like, reggae music was the first genre of music that I just absolutely fell in love with. And I was just like, it felt like it lifted my spirit. It felt like it made me a braver person. It felt like it gave me a better like compass on life. And then I fell in love with hip hop. And shout out Bob. Yeah,
shout out Bob. That's awesome. What for the rest of 2026? We have a lot of time. We're only in February now. What is you guys' goal as a group going forward?
Singles. Just putting out as much music. Well, singles and probably some EPs, but just putting out as much music as possible. Getting out on the town as much as possible to get some shows booked, and just kind of just grinding.
Yeah, I think you know something that is every artist's arch nemesis but biggest tool is content. So figuring out that, making more content, figuring out how that feels authentic to us, and in a way that we can get excited about it, in a way that represents our, you know, our brand ethos, per se, or you know, just the connection that we all have together. But yeah, dropping a bunch of music, man. Just we've made so much music, and like there's I don't know, we're probably getting close to like 20 songs out right now under writer's block, but like I mean, we probably have made 200 songs as writer's block, maybe 150, 160.
Like that, yeah.
So like just getting more music out.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like we've held in so much, and so it's like, let's get this shit out.
Is it hard to know when it's time to put something out, or?
I think it can be, because oftentimes it can be really easy to say, no, it's not the right time, it's not the right time, it's not the right time. But I think it's always the right time, and you should just put it out. That's my opinion. So it's hard only because of the perfectionist side of ourselves.
Yeah, that. Well, also like the project management of like, okay, did the mixing engineer get the project in time? All right, are we getting it to the master engineer in time? Do we have the content ready?
Yeah.
Are we, you know, just like getting your systems in order is a big thing. So I think, I don't know, finding that balance of let's hurry up and get this shit out, and also being prepared to like, you know, have some kind of plan around pushing it. And yeah.
No, I like what you said too about planning the content, because I think it's so easy to have this great idea to put this song out, but once you put it out and if you don't have the content, that leaves the opportunity for so many things in life to happen and just get in the way of it. So.
Yeah,
100%. And you set yourself up to be like disappointed in a way where you just you poured your heart into the song, and then you didn't really breathe any life into it or give it a chance.
I think something that has been really inspiring for me is that a song is, especially in this day and age of the internet, every song that you put out is always new. It doesn't matter if it came out a year ago. If it's not popping, it's new. So you can always film content for something. You can always start promoting something like you just put it out today. And that's really nice. I feel like it takes a lot of the pressure off. And it's like, no, just put out. You're going to have 1,000 excuses to not put it out because of whatever the fears are, of vulnerability or whatever it is. Just put it out. Put it out. And then you have to motivate yourself to make the content for it. But now you're probably a lot more motivated to make the content for it because, well, the song's out and you better post something about it.
Yeah.
So.
No, I like what you said too about like bringing stuff back that you maybe put out before that can be new for somebody else that hasn't seen it. Like I think when you make something, you're like, oh, I made that in 23 or I made that in 24. Right. That's been out forever. But if people haven't seen it yet, it's gonna be new when someone hears it.
Yeah, facts. And I mean, people's favorite songs are still people's favorite songs, even if they're from a while ago.
Yeah.
Last night we did our first TikTok live, and somebody asked us to perform a song we made in 2022.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And like, you know, something that I like to think about is that on Chapel Roan's, her debut album, she had Pink Pony Club on there, and she put that song out in like 2018, 2019. Like it was years and years and years before that song actually popped off. And then it was on her debut album, as if she had just made it with this collective of music.
And that sounded decently well. So that's
Yeah.
you know, a few people heard that. I don't know if you guys were in Nashville when that song was going crazy, but it was played a lot.
Yeah.
We weren't, but I bet it was.
Yeah,
I bet
I
it
believe
was
it.
everywhere.
Well,
All the bachelorette parties and shit.
Oh, yeah.
well, thank you guys so much for taking
Dude,
time out of your
definitely, man.
evening.
Yeah.
It was
Thank you
awesome
for
to have
having
you
us.
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great time. Just glad to be on the Batcave and glad to have the platform. And
Yeah.
we appreciate the questions and just
Yeah.
your authenticity and building a platform for artists is dope.
Yeah. This was fun. Thank you.
I appreciate it a lot. It was cool because I like I had like met you like I guess briefly, but like just getting to like actually chat with you, I was like, wait, I definitely like haven't gotten to talk to these guys enough, and it'd be awesome to sit down and like having this space here to do it is awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really dope. And
Also,
appreciate
sorry, my
your-
hand was so sweaty.
Yeah, my hand is it's not.
appreciate your I mean, it takes courage and initiative to get some shit like this off the ground, and like I know how that shit goes. It's not always like pretty at the beginning. You're fucking trying to figure it out. You're messing up like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So like the persistence, you know, that's dope to see because that's what it takes.
Also, I really appreciated your questions. They were really good. And I like that. Were you coming up with all of those just on the spot? That's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah, sorry.
It was,
No,
no,
not in a bad way,
it
not in a
was,
bad
I
way.
was amazed.
Oh, okay.
I was amazed because they were all really good, but I could tell that some of your questions played off of other answers that we had, and I was like, wow, he is really good at this.
Yeah,
Just naturally.
when I first started doing the interviews, I would have like 10 to 20 questions like ready to go. And it felt like I would literally read off the question, and then because I was doing them virtually, and I would read off the question and I wasn't listening to what the artist even had to say, and I was just like getting ready so that I didn't mess up my next question, because I was like, I wrote these down, I'm going to ask these questions. And there's definitely been situations where I'll like end an interview and I'm like, dang, I didn't ask about that thing I wanted to know about or that thing I wanted to know about. But when I'm like more present in the interview, I just feel like it goes better. It doesn't feel like a choppy, like it doesn't feel like a job interview or something like that. And like, I don't know. It was definitely like really stressful at first because you're like, what if I forget that? Like, and there's definitely been times where I'm like, and I'm like trying to come up with something and like, but yeah.
Yeah.
What I've learned with this is it's like, even if like the whole interview doesn't ever come out, the whole interview like gets messed up, doesn't happen, it's still like, how would you have rather spent your, like you got to talk to an artist that you listen to, and like that's super cool. And like at the end of the day, like it's what I like enjoy doing and it makes me happy. And like I still do travel therapy for work, so I move around a bunch, and I took one last year, I guess a year and a half ago in Hawaii. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be in Hawaii. I'm not going to do any podcast stuff now because, like, this isn't doing, like, money. Like, I'm just going to enjoy Hawaii. And then, like, don't get me wrong, I was enjoying Hawaii 100%. But there was still a part of me that was, like, when I wasn't doing it all, I was like, oh, this song came out. I have to do something to share this song. And, like, I don't know. It's just, like, I think at first it was, like, oh, I want to make something that's, like, cool. And then it was, like, it kind of became, like, something that just became, like, a part of my life. And now if I, like, stopped doing it, just, like, wouldn't like I just like have to find a new hobby or something. I don't know. I don't know how it would work.
I feel you, man. Well, I mean, I feel like everything with it just keeps getting better and better from what I've seen, and it just you feel really natural at it.
Yeah.
And the fact that you enjoy it so much and you're willing to do it all, I feel like it'll be successful. It's just a matter of time. Same like with our music and shit, it's like you just gotta keep going.
Yep.
Yeah, I was listening a couple days ago to one of your guys' songs on Spotify. I don't know if this is something you guys set up or not, but I think it's really cool, and more people need to do this if they're not. When you guys' song plays on Spotify, like, yeah, I know you can scroll up and see the lyrics, but the lyrics come on. Have you noticed that before?
Oh, like on the screen.
On the screen,
That's,
yeah.
I think that's a new thing because
Okay.
I've noticed that. I don't know if you have to select that. I've noticed that listening to other people's songs. Too.
Okay.
So we submit our lyrics via platform Musix Match, MUSIX Match. I don't know if maybe that opens up the door for that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because then I was clicking on some other ones and I wasn't seeing it. I was like, I don't know if
Yeah.
they're doing this, but this is great because, like, yeah, you can scroll down and see the lyrics, but if you're like listening to it and like reading it, that's like, you know, there's a different form of
Yeah.
learning. There's reading, there's listening, and then there's doing, and I feel like you're just like enabling the listener to like learn the lyrics and also like get more out of the song that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was super cool because I was like,
That is
wait,
cool.
this is.
I have to see
I was
how
like, I
we
wonder if
did
they even
that.
know that they're doing this or not.
No, we did not.
Yeah, oh, super
We
cool.
definitely planned that.
Definitely planned that.
Another
Yeah, we
partnership
set it
with
up.
Spotify.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't remember who else I looked at, but I went through like a few different people's and like newer songs that have come out too. So because at first I was like, oh, this is like an update on Spotify and that's why
Yeah.
it's happening.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, it's not on this song. It's not on that song.
I wonder if it's because we're
Interesting.
submitting through Music Match.
Yeah,
maybe.
that might be it. I've
Yeah.
seen it on some people's music, but not everybody's.
Yeah, because I don't think it was all of them. Because after that I was like checking. I was like, was this happening with every song? And I'm just very unobservant. But yeah, it is happening with some of them. So
We'll have to look into
Yeah.
it and see what it is. That's cool.